Hey guys, Shukesh here. Today in this video, I will be comparing these two very similar OnePlus flagships. On my left, I have the all-new OnePlus 7T Pro, and I don't know why does this phone even exist. I mean, it's very similar to almost the same device as its predecessor OnePlus 7 Pro, which I have on my right. Currently, the Android version on the new 7T Pro is Android 10, and definitely the 7 Pro will be getting this Android version currently at Android 9.0. The oxygen OS is 9.5.11 on the 7 Pro, and on the 7T Pro it's oxygen OS 10.0. Now the only significant difference in between these two OnePlus flagships is the 7T Pro gets a Snapdragon 855 Plus, which is about 15% more powerful than the Snapdragon 855 you have on the 7 Pro. If you ask me, the outgoing OnePlus flagship is powerful enough. There is no need to upgrade to the 7T Pro. In this playtest, I want to quickly check if there is any significant improvement on the performance in the real life scenario. As you know, OnePlus 7 Pro is already discounted, so this video might be very useful if you are in a dilemma in between these two OnePlus flagships. So without any further ado, let's get started. First, let's restart the devices. There is no app running in the background. There you go, the all-new 7T Pro boots faster than the outgoing 7 Pro. Let's quickly compare the on-screen finger scanners. I don't know, but for some reason the new 7T Pro is kind of slower compared to the 7 Pro. I was initially quite surprised, but it's the fact in most cases. Even when on the lock screen, the response time of the 7T Pro is not as fast. Hopefully OnePlus will look into this on their future OTA updates. Now let's quickly launch some system as well as some third-party apps, followed by the games. There you have the dialer, and the OnePlus 7 Pro responded momentarily quicker, I will say. So another point for the older 7 Pro, there you have the messaging app. Once again, 7T Pro loses to the 7 Pro. I don't know what's happening. Maybe the new device is yet not optimized. Here on the Chrome browser as well, the older 7 Pro gets the winning point. Let's check the camera. I think once again the 7T Pro loses. Let me check the front cameras. There is white blank screen on the 7T Pro. Let's check once again. There you have the rear camera, then the front cameras. Now there is no blank screen on the 7T Pro, and I think in terms of the front camera mechanism, both 7T Pro and 7 Pro are very close. Let's check the rear cameras once again. Definitely the 7 Pro is visibly quicker to respond than the new 7T Pro. The score right now is 7T Pro 1, that is the boot test, and the 7 Pro 5. Here on the gallery as well, I think the 7 Pro wins by few milliseconds. So definitely an update is due from OnePlus. I mean, 7T Pro is fast enough, but it loses to its predecessor, which is not acceptable. Here on the YouTube app as well, I think the older 7 Pro is faster by few milliseconds. But here on the Play Store application, for the first time, the 7T Pro wins. Let's quickly check these social apps one by one. I will start with Facebook. They were very close, but I will give the point to 7T Pro. Next we have Twitter. They were almost neck and neck. I will say this is a draw. There you have Instagram, and we have another draw here. It's really amazing to see how fast are the OnePlus devices. There we have the shopping apps. I will start with Flipkart. This time 7T Pro wins big time. So on the third-party apps, the new OnePlus device is catching up. There is Amazon India app, and both are loading, but the 7 Pro was slightly faster. Lastly, there is Paytm. Maybe the 7T Pro was quicker to respond by 1 or 2 milliseconds. Now we have Spotify, and once again 7T Pro is the faster device. There is also Netflix. 7T Pro was slightly faster. I have some Photoshop applications as well, so let's start with Photoshop Fix, and I think it's a draw. There is no Photoshop Sketch. This time 7T Pro is the winner, I will say. Next, let's launch Adobe Photoshop Mix. Once again, the new OnePlus flagship is the winner. Let me now check Adobe Photoshop Lightroom, and once again, the new 7T Pro wins. In fact, it's now even ahead of the 7 Pro. We have another Adobe application, Photoshop Express. Well, 7T Pro completed the loading before the 7 Pro. So the final score is 7T Pro 10 and the 7 Pro 8. So definitely the new OnePlus device did not perform as expected, and the older OnePlus 7 Pro is still a great smartphone to buy. But before we conclude, let's quickly check some hardcore games and of course the RAM management. Let's start with Subway Surfers. Once again, OnePlus 7T Pro is not doing well compared to its predecessor. We have 4 more games. There is Temple Run 2. This time the new 7T Pro beats the older 7 Pro, so don't lose hope yet. Next we have Pokemon Go. Once again the newer 7T Pro loaded the game faster than the 7 Pro. Next we have Asphalt 9, a comparatively bigger and more graphics intensive game. There you go, the 7T Pro is definitely faster than the older 7 Pro. So in the gaming department, definitely I will go for the 7T Pro. In fact, it took much less time compared to the outgoing model. Lastly, I want to launch PUBG Mobile before drawing the conclusion. Let's see what happens. Well, the new generation OnePlus was surprisingly quite fast. I mean, it's one of the fastest phones to load this game. I think the older OnePlus is still in the loading screen. So I admit I was wrong in the beginning. The new 7T Pro offers much improvements over its predecessor in terms of high graphics games and also for third-party apps, but it's indeed slower on the system apps, which OnePlus should fix ASAP. Now before I compare the RAM management, I want to quickly show you that I got the same storage and RAM variants, that is 8GB of RAM with 256GB of ROM. There is also almost same amount of apps installed. Now let's quickly relaunch some of the recent apps and games. There are 26 applications opened on these OnePlus devices, and since we get 8GB of RAM, I hope that both phones will be able to handle all these apps. There we have Dialer, the first app we launched, so let's see what happens. No issues, both were still running in the background. Next, OnePlus Gallery apps, and as you can see on the 7 Pro there were a blank screen, so basically this reloaded. Let me now check YouTube. Once again it's reloading on the outgoing OnePlus model. So looks like the RAM management of the new OnePlus 7T Pro is considerably better than its predecessor. In fact, OnePlus 7 Pro loses to some of the Samsung flagships in terms of RAM management, but with the 7T Pro, OnePlus fixed it and we get this amazing RAM management. I mean, I have opened 26 applications and still almost all these apps are still running in the background. I am quite curious about the battery performance of the 7T Pro, and I will talk about that in the next upload, so keep in touch with this channel. So far 7T Pro is showing off amazing multitasking capabilities, but one thing that is bothering me, I don't remember OnePlus 7 Pro to be that bad in terms of multitasking. I mean, it's not the best, but it's not this bad. I don't know, maybe OnePlus did something to its outgoing model. I'm getting very suspicious, but it's all my assumption. Even the games are reloading on the 7 Pro, so it's for sure the new OnePlus 7T Pro offers amazing multitasking capabilities. Not a single application failed to load from where it left off. The older generation is really struggling. Lastly, let's launch PUBG Mobile, and it's still on the RAM of the 7 Pro. This game basically kicked out most of the other apps and games on this phone, whereas thanks to the amazing RAM management of the OnePlus 7T Pro, most of the apps and games are still in the RAM running in the background. I want to let you know that there is a feature called RAM Boost which is enabled on both phones by default, and the resolution is set to auto switch with 90Hz refresh rate, so this comparison is as fair as it can be. The gaming modes were also off, so though at the start of this playtest I was getting very disappointed with the new generation OnePlus, I am somewhat surprised with the RAM management capabilities and also the game loading time, which is almost iOS level, so definitely it's an upgrade, mostly on the performance. That's all in this playtest. I hope that it was useful. More awesome videos are coming up shortly on this new generation OnePlus 7T Pro, so don't forget to subscribe and keep in touch.